Hey, we are here today to show you how to build an EasySnap photo booth to set up the construction of the shell. It's very simple, very easy with our design with the EasySnap connectors. So you can snap it together really pretty quickly. So let's get started. I started by laying out 3 sections that are the rectangles that are going to be for building the booth itself. It's very easy if you lay out all the parts first. And get them all set up and ready to go, and then you just snap them back together as you need them. So we have 3 sections, the bottom, the middle, and the top. And they're all labeled when you get them. The 4 pieces are labeled bottom. You'll notice that one on each of these has a plastic track. This track is for the doors. So I set them up so that all 3 of these specialized pieces for the doors are all facing the same direction. The other thing you're going to want to look at are the connectors themselves. Each one of these connectors, so if we start with the bottom section, there are 3 3-way connectors and 1 4-way connector. That's the only tricky part, is that 4-way connector is going to be the piece that goes along the wall. We're going to run curtains on both sides of the booth, and this one will have a bar on the floor, but this side, which is where the customers come into the booth, will not have a bar on the floor. That way no one trips. It's just a safety issue. So let's start snapping these together. Very simply, they snap right in together, just like that. All right, now that we have the 3 sections assembled, we're going to go ahead and put in the uprights and the panels to actually build the booth. The booth's in 2 sections, up here and down here. So to do that, we start by putting in some of our uprights. You'll notice that these uprights are 3 foot long, and they all have 2 fins on them at 90-degree angles. You're going to line these fins up with the interior angles of the rectangles. And the easiest way to build this is to put in 1 upright and a panel, then an upright, then a panel. Okay? So we've got one upright in. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the logo panel. This is the deluxe model, which has the customizable logos. If you have the standard booth, it'll just be a black panel that you put in. But since our guests are going to be entering from this side, we want the logo panels facing the guests. So we're going to put in, very simply, slide the panels right into the grooves provided. Then the next piece we're going to put in is a white piece for the interior of the booth that the guests are going to see. And again, put it into one of the uprights and the bottom groove. And we're going to put in 1 more upright. And line up the grooves. Slide it over the connector and snap it into place. Very simple. We can do the same thing over here. Very easy for 1 person to set this entire booth up very quickly. It's a snap. On the back side, we're going to put, as I mentioned, just a straight black panel. You would have 4 of these black panels with the standard model. With the deluxe customized logo, you would get 2 black panels and 2 with the logo. I take my 4th upright. I'm going to snap that into place. All right. Now there's a section right here in front that are going to have doors. The doors we're going to save till the very end. You don't want to put the doors in place because you'll be working inside the booth. So now that we have all 4 uprights and 3 of the panels in place, we're going to put the center section on to hold this all together. These very simply line up with the uprights. Get them all lined up and down to the snaps, and then start working your way around. Just getting the snap started, and then pop them right into place. We have one of our cubes completely built. There's one more that's going on top next. So we start with the uprights for the next section. And snap them down into place. One upright, now a panel. Let's do the panel with the monitor bracket. This monitor bracket makes it easy to carry the monitor separately from the board. So the monitor will just slide right into here. So the monitor, this side obviously, is going to face the guests. Now that we have that in place, notice it stays securely because it's in 2 grooves, but you don't want to leave it there too long, so you're going to want to get another upright piece in there. And that will hold that piece completely securely in place. Our next piece is another logo panel, which again faces the guests. Great advertising for your company and business, having these logo panels. They're all backlit when we get it done, and it looks very sharp when the guests come in the room and see your name next to the photo booth. The backside panel again is very simply just a 2 foot by 3 foot black panel. All right, and now 2 more uprights. Again, doors will go on this side, and we won't put those in until the very last thing we do, after all the electronics are hooked up. All right, and now we're going to put the top on it. Remember, as I mentioned before, there are 2 4-way connectors which are going to be for the curtains. So these obviously are going to face the guests, and you have a plastic track that again lines up with the doors over here. Not too bad, it's only 6 foot tall, so most people should be able to reach up there and slide everything right on. Again, you get the snaps started all the way around, and then they just fall right into place nice and evenly. Again, you don't want to put one all the way down and then do the other ones because it'll put too much torque on the brackets and you might break them. All right, there you have the entire booth outside assembly complete. The next thing we'll put in is a shelf. And this is where your components are going to sit. You notice it has a hole in the back side. That's for your cords to run down through. And nice and easy, this lays right on top of the grooves. Sits nice and easy. No one sees that shell, so we're going to cover it with our components and drop our cords right through the hole. There is no top on it. That gives you some more ambient light from the room to help you see when you're working, but we'll also have a light inside, a work light. All right, the next thing we're going to do is start building the curtained area for the guests. All right, now we're ready to build the curtained area for the guests. So what we have is I've laid out, there are 7 pieces for this section, not including the cross pieces for the curtains. And these pieces right here are going to be a single groove, which means there's one groove, no side 90-degree angle grooves, so there's only one groove on here at all. So can you see that on the end? Anyway. So these are all going to have just one groove, and you'll also notice that it's offset, it's not directly in the center. So you're going to want to make sure that that stays the same side every time. I usually put the offset side to the back of the booth, the back side. So the other thing you're going to notice is there are several different pieces for the connectors that you're going to be using. We have a 3-way connector, which is going to go on the bottom piece, and an L-shaped connector, which is also going to go on the bottom piece. Remember that there is a bar that runs between the back wall and the booth on the floor on the back side but not on the front side because we don't want anybody tripping over this bar as they walk into the booth. So there is no bar, no third bracket on the bottom here for that reason. The next piece is the center piece, and there are 2 grooves on opposite sides of the centerpiece. You can see that. Single grooves, but on opposite sides. Okay? And again, we want to, and then there is a T-bracket, T-shaped bracket that's going to go right in there and connect. And another one on this side, also T-shaped bracket. And that's the center section. The top section has 3-way connectors. I'm going to make sure that they're both facing the same direction, and they are going to go up in the booth like this, although the groove is going to go down. There you go. So the groove goes down, and one to the top rail, and one to the uprights. All right. Then the other 2 pieces are the uprights, and again, these are just a single rail, 3-foot long piece. Okay? So we will start the same way we built the booth. We're going to build 2 pieces of white 3-foot by 3-foot panels for the back wall. So again, we're going to put in one upright and 1 panel. Just line the panels up in the grooves. Then we're going to put in a second upright. Snap it in place. And that should hold this panel in place. Then we're going to frame it out with our middle section already snapped together. And this guy's almost all set to go. We're ready for the final section. Bring one upright, a panel, then the next upright. And my final upright, holding it all together. And the very top. Lean that up against the wall. This is the back wall. Now we're going to connect it to the booth with a curtain. What I like to do is put the rails on the booth first. And they'll stay in place just fine, temporarily. Then I like to run my curtains on the poles first before I connect the back wall. Slide it all the way up there out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Lining up the bottom connector and the bottom rail. And I'm going to line up the top 2. And then I'll snap them into place. There you go. The frame of the booth is completely set up in a matter of minutes, and the next step is just the electronics.